All righty, we are live Monday night, January 15th. And as you can tell by my voice, I'm pretty rough, but we got a special guest on tonight, Tyler Barnes. So we're here, not feeling the greatest, but we're gonna get through it and have some fun. So I can't wait to bring him in. Um, North Carolina Flathead State record holder, digital media guy, social media, great guy, positive influence in the industry. So really excited. I've been talking to him the last few days about being on the show, so I'm pretty pumped about that. What do you think, Liz?
Let's bring him in, ask him all the questions.
So before we get started, we're going to start off with a quick commercial from our headline presenting sponsor, Sea Arc Boats, and then we'll bring our special guest in.
The Dynasty 2.0 was designed for the serious trophy cat angler and is most often used for tournament fishing. A major key to having a true catfishing boat is its ability to keep the large fish alive so that they can be released back into the water just as healthy as when they were caught. The 2.0's unique design includes a 115-gallon live well that is equipped with an 800 and 1600 gallon per hour fresh water pump. This keeps the contaminated water filtered out and the fresh water coming in. The enormous live well gives plenty of room so that the fish don't get beat around on long boat rides. The Euro-style transom allows for easy access in and out of the boat and is tall enough to deflect large waves that can sometimes arise without much notice. This transom is constructed from 3/16-inch aluminum for added strength. The easy-access 3-door battery compartment has plenty of room for batteries, battery chargers, power pole pumps, and additional storage. Rod storage is not a problem. The center rod box is 8 feet long and can hold over 15 rods and reels. The self-bailing bow deck sheds water out of the boat instead of back in the boat when throwing a casting net. The casting area is constructed from tread plate to help eliminate slippage. The bow is also taller than the previous model to combat rough water rides. All of this in combination with the proven 15-degree V-hull, an added reverse chine for more lift, heavy-duty 125-gauge construction, Seatco air ride captain and passenger seats, and a durable walk-through windshield makes this boat the most popular in catfishing.
All right. Whew. Okay, so again, my voice is a little rough tonight, but we're going to get through it. And again, without further ado, let's bring in our special guest, Mr. Tyler Barnes. How we doing?
Hey, what's going on, man? Good to be here.
Yeah, so you're out on the East Coast. We're out here in the Midwest in Illinois, and I'll tell you, it's been rough for us. So Liz is a teacher, and she's been out since last week.
Yeah, we've had like 4 or 5 snow days.
So I mean, we had snow, we've had cold. I think right now the temp is like -8, -10. Tomorrow they're out of school, and we're not like that town where a little dusting and everybody freaks out. I mean, we're used to snow and stuff, but we're not used to this negative. I think it was like -40 yesterday or something like that. But
Right. Yeah,
so,
we are that little town though. If they even talk about a little bit of snow, man, we're shutting the whole town down, man. It's over.
yeah, no. So yeah, hopefully they just actually called school again tomorrow, I think, for the cold, because it's like a high of, I don't know, we're in the negative still. So
My goodness.
and then I think I looked at next week because I'm supposed to travel to Oklahoma to do some stuff for Twisted Cat. And next week it looked like in the 40s. So like I'm pumped. Like, once we get that first real cold, after that, like 30, 40 degrees feels like it's in the 70s. So I'm ready for that, and ready to get back on the road and get some things rolling, because there's no fishing, maybe some ice fishing, which I've not done yet, but there's no fishing on a boat for sure.
Yeah, certainly not. Oh my gosh.
So let's kind of get into this, and let's talk about Tyler Barnes. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about. I'm sure we'll get into where you're fishing, what you're fishing out of, your gear, all that stuff. But let's start from the beginning. Where did Tyler Barnes? How did you get into all this? How did you get into social media creation? How did you get into trophy fishing for catfish?
Yeah, man, certainly. So really, and I may have a similar story to a lot of people, and I'm sure that there is a lot of people in here that's watching now that might can relate. But essentially, really how it started for me at a very young age, 8, 9, 10 years old, I grew up fishing on the riverbanks with my father targeting catfish. Now, at the time, we're not very serious about the sport. We just went because it was fun. We enjoyed it. It was a good time. It was all about camping on the river, setting a campfire, maybe grilling out some cheeseburgers or hot dogs or something, and have a few catfish rods out, man, with little glow sticks on the end, and that's what we enjoyed to do on the weekends. Well, we and over time, we just kept diving into it and diving into it and diving into it, and eventually we finally got around to getting like a 14-foot little single wide John boat with a like a little 6 horsepower Evinrude motor, and we weren't even really planning to fish off the boat. It was to get to different sandbars to fish off the sandbars, right? So we would like look at the maps and stuff together. I'm a kid, I'm like, Dad, that being right there, I bet there's a big one in there, stuff like that. Well, years later, when I was 18, I'm now 28 years old. My dad actually passed away unexpectedly, and I did pursue the sport of catfishing further. I got more involved into it, started, really, really studying these fish, started fishing some tournaments. And after that, man, after honestly, I started getting more into the tournament side of things. I knew then that this for certain was for me. So I'm kind of a guy, whenever I go fishing, I'm in a tournament, man, I'm trying to win, okay? I'm trying to win this thing. So I'm very competitive, always have been, and still am. So I'm very passionate about the sport of catfishing. I love to see how the sport is growing so rapidly now. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, here we are right now, going and time's flying too. So I like to see how, just reminiscing on the old times from keeping it very simple to camping on the riverbank to getting in boats, fishing tournaments, traveling, doing podcasts on catfishing, to conservation, to laws, and it's very exciting to me, and to be involved in the sport of catfishing, and to see it progressing further and further. So it's just very exciting for me. But that's really how I got into it, was from my father. And like I said, when he passed away, we kind of, or me, I, kind of got more just dialed into it and really started taking things more serious than just camping on the riverbank on a weekend.
Yeah. So obviously behind you, it started from that fishing on the bank, and being diving into that next bend that might hold that giant. I mean, look at when you're passionate about something. Obviously, you're very passionate. You can you're now a state record holder in Flathead, which is a big deal. We were kind of talking about that backstage. I guess let's everybody talks about what happens if you catch a record fish. I guess give us that story of that trip out. Kind of how you did you think it was a record when you first caught it? Kind of go through that and talk to us about that.
Yeah, so certainly. So definitely a night, obviously, that I'll never forget. So, and this is a long, drawn out story that I'm gonna try to shrink up, because if I don't, it's gonna take the entire podcast. Okay, so
Hey, we
we'll
like
do that.
stories. We like stories.
But really, here in Goldsboro, North Carolina, there's a local bait and tackle store known as Easy Bait and Tackle, and they hold an annual catfishing tournament, and it's essentially biggest fish wins, but they pay out top five, okay, or top three. Some years it's a little bit different. But while fishing this tournament, I went out one night, looking at the water levels, looking at the moon phases, looking at my bait that I had, and looking at all the factors. And it was actually, I took off of work too just to make sure that I went out fishing on this night because the scenario was perfect for a big flathead catfish. And it ended up being a little bit bigger than I was thinking it would be. But actually the night before, I went out to an area knowing the conditions were still similar and very good. I was able to land one, somewhere around like 53 pounds, which, put me pretty good in the tournament. But the next night, before I get too sidetracked with all the excitement that's going on in my head now, I put in I launched a boat. I went to my first area of the night. So, and to describe that area, it's relatively a narrow section of river, but it's also very deep. So traditionally for me, when the sun is setting, I like to target a little bit deeper water. And whenever I say deep in the rivers that I fish, I'm talking like, you know, 12, 14 feet of water. Okay. So that's actually pretty deep for us. So I try to always start off in a little bit deeper area. And as the night moves on, these fish try to transition out of these little deeper pockets and deeper holes and straightaways and things like that and lurk into the shallows. So long story short, I started off in that hole, and didn't really have much luck. It was, I think I caught a small channel cat, sat there for about 45 minutes, moved to another spot. Didn't have a lot of luck. I don't think I even had a strike. Went to another area not too far and did not have a strike. But I knew that was okay because something, Alex, something that I've noticed over the years of taking notes and journaling and fishing and just looking back at the history, I traditionally catch larger catfish. Now, not as many, but larger trophy fish on the new moon. Okay. So, with that being said, I was still comfortable, very comfortable, not looking for a lot of fish, looking for a fish, right? So, when I left that third spot, I was ripping down the river. I was looking, got my light bars going down the river, and I'm looking, and I noticed this little tree laid over on the side of the river. I said, "Man, I don't know that I've ever noticed that." And it wasn't no massive oak tree. It wasn't the biggest log jam in the river. It was simply a small tree that had fell over in the river. So I looked at it as I was driving by and I said, "I ain't gonna worry about that." It was just eye catching. So I kept going down the river about 5 minutes and I had this overwhelming feeling of, "Tyler, I need to go check that out, turn around." And I was like, "Nah, nah, I'm wasting my time." But then it hit me again and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna go fish this spot for 30 minutes." I said, "That's not where I want to go, but I'm having this feeling that I have to do it." So what I did is I turned around and I went back and I sat up on this little tree. And keep in mind too, of course, we don't really know the conditions here, but the river was on a slight rise. So the current was not dead still. It wasn't ripping fast, but it was a good moderate flow, which is perfect. And I love that. So I looked at the tree and kind of did a little bit of scanning around it and stuff. I said, "Man, there really ain't nothing here, man." I said, "There's a little dip on the downstream side of the tree. So you've got a flat, you've got a tree, and then you've got just a little dip. And a lot of times that's all it takes." So essentially, what I did is I threw the anchor out and I floated past the tree. Okay. And I tied the anchor off. And what I did is I took one of the biggest baits that I had in the live well, which was a shell cracker. And he's probably, pound and a half bait at least, right? A monster shell cracker. And I put him on the hook and I throw him upstream, which is something I try not to do a whole lot. Not because it's not a good tactic, it's because I'm a guy that fishes with tight drag and I let the rod action actually set the hook in the fish. I don't free line, I don't set clickers and let the line go free. I'm always a tight drag kind of person. So throwing a rod upriver is not really, you're asking to lose a fish. Well, anyway, I got the other rod set out, and I was on the phone with a friend of mine. And when I'm sitting here looking at the rods and we're talking about 15 minutes in, that rod that I threw upstream, right in that little dip, man, you're talking a foot difference, okay, just a foot, just a little dip. It went from being dead still to just thump and started rocking very slow. I was talking to my buddy. I said, Jacob, man, I said, look, I think I've got something on here. I said, let me call you back. So this rod's sitting here thumping, and it's slowly rocking. I said, man, that is traditionally the way that a monster flathead would hit. He comes by, sucks the bait up, and he's just holding it. And that rod's just sitting here, just slowly going down. So in this scenario, I knew that I couldn't wait for him to run with it for two reasons. One, the rod's going the wrong way. And for two, I'm right beside a log pile, this little tree. I said, I surely don't want to get him hung up. So what I do is I pick the rod up and I let him pull just a little bit. And when I feel a decent amount of tension, I do an artificial hook set. I just sweep it, do an artificial hook set into the fish. And Alex, let me tell you something. I went from calm and relaxed to just like, dude, it was like a rocket ship. It's like I hooked off to a rocket ship, man. Whenever I set the hook in that fish, he jerked back and started peeling drag and was splashing and going nuts. Keep in mind, I'm only in 3.5 feet of water. So he's very shallow. So he's splashing and going nuts. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking it's a monster blue cat and all the noise. Well, I pull him and I crank the drag down and get him turned towards me. And when I do that, I'm reeling as he's coming towards me, and he goes behind the boat and he's ripping drag. I'm like, at this point, I'm really, dude, like I am taking off guard on this one, man. So let me tell you, man, this fish is just, he's just screaming, and I'm like, man, is this a sturgeon or something? What's going on here, man? So this fish is just, I mean, it's incredible. So I get him to slow down, bring him back, and just several runs. Okay, he's up underneath the boat, going. The rod's been under the boat. I'm like, I'm not prepared for this. So when I get the fish, finally, after several runs and all kinds of tactics and maneuvers, and me thinking he's going, come unhooked, I get him to the surface, and I've got my headlamp always. And I'm looking at the fish. I said, "Man, it's a big fish, but you can't tell. You know it's a big fish, but you don't know." So I'm over here with one hand with the rod, and I've got my net in the other hand. I'm trying to scoop him up. Well, he won't fold. He's so big. He's so big. He just won't fold in. And I'm by myself now. I'm trying to do this all by myself. So I pull the net back out, and he takes off under the boat again. And I'm like, God, please don't let me lose this fish. Please don't let me lose this fish. So I followed him a little bit more, got him to the top. This time I set the rod and reeled down in the boat, like just right beside me, and I grabbed the braided line and I reached for his head, and I finally found his head. So I grabbed his bottom lip, and then I grabbed him with my other hand and I put him in the boat. So with me feeling like I'm having a heart attack, I'm looking at this fish, man. I'm like, dude, what is this thing, man? And I've caught some big fish, but I was like, man, this fish, I said, this fish is different, man. So I called my buddy back, and I'm talking to him, and I said, man, I caught that fish. He said, oh yeah, how big is he? I said, he's got to be 65 or bigger. I said, it's a big flathead, man. So what I do is I always keep a set of scales in the boat. And what I do is I get the fish and I'm able to then put them in the net. And I cradle the fish in the net, and then I hook the scales onto the net and I weigh it. I got a set of crane scales, like off of Amazon or something, right? Um, and I weigh the fish in the net, and he's 82.6. So I start laughing, we're both laughing. I was like, man, this thing's saying he's 80 pounds, and he's laughing, I'm laughing. But secretively, I'm like, my scales are pretty close. Okay. So I cut the scales off and cut them back on. And when I weigh him again, he's at 81.6 in the net. So I'm like, oh my gosh, state record 78 pounds at the time. The net is, like 2.5 pounds. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, I think I've caught the state record, or I'm very close to one. So immediately, immediately at the time I was in this massive group chat with a bunch of other anglers, and I put in there, hey, potential state record, yada yada, meet me at Easy Bait and Tackle in Goldsboro, and if you'd like to see the fish. So I called my buddy. They got a big giant 300-gallon tank up there, oxygen pumps. So the first thing I did is said, I talked to my buddy Jacob. I said, go to Easy Bait, fill it up, put 2 bags of ice in it or 3, put some G juice or better bait in there, and put your commercial oxygen or your pumps in the live well. So what I did is, of course, I put them in my live well, got rid of all the bait, hauled tail to the ramp, loaded up the boat, headed to Goldsboro. Well, whenever I got there, I got this crowd of people, man, like 30 people here, man. It's like 2 in the morning. And I'm like, geez, if this fish ain't as big as I'm thinking, I'm about to be embarrassed, man.
Yeah,
Holy so I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, I mean, just an absolute nervous wreck. We get the fish out of the live well. 3 of us cradle the fish, and we bring it to the certified scales. And when it hits the scales, man, it's 78.9 pounds. And I started like yelling and hollering and like crying. I'm like, oh my, like so much emotion, because for me, something that I'm so passionate about, and for a fish that I target so seriously and love to learn about, knowing that I then had the North Carolina state record, it was truly the most remarkable time of my life. It was a night that I'll never forget. And after that, the steps to actually getting, if there's anybody watching that needs to know what happens if you catch a state record, you first thing you need to do is obviously try to at least believe that it's a state record fish, and if you get it weighed and you think it is, or even if it's a couple ounces off, it's still worth the effort and worth the try. Okay, 'cause some scales read differently. The first thing is try to keep the fish healthy and alive if all possible. Okay, we all get excited, and we all want to have a state record, but it's essential, if possible, to try to keep that fish alive. Um, that's the first thing. The second thing is you have to call a wildlife biologist, and a biologist actually has to come out and certify the fish on certified scales, and you once seen in his eyes, once the biologist sees the fish, he will then go ahead and announce you unofficially the state record holder. However, he'll come back and meet with you, and you'll fill out some paperwork. And the paperwork is essentially, your name, where did you catch it, what bait, what was the weight, yada yada, and you both sign off on it. And then once the paperwork's turned in, you are officially the state record holder. So how it had to go for me, keep in mind, um, you know, I had to um, keep the fish alive. I was very nervous because I weighed in the fish at, 2 in the morning. Well, the biologist, he didn't get here until about 5:30 or 6 in the morning. So there was a couple things going on in my head. First thing is, man, I got to keep the fish alive, which was absolutely no problem whatsoever in the environment that we had them in. And the second thought that you guys might be thinking is, you know, Tyler, what if it loses weight? What if it coughs something up? You're only, 14 ounces ahead. What happens? Well, take my advice, and if this ever happens to you, and you do have certified scales that you and the biologist will both be using, record it. Okay? Because I asked that very question. I said, Ben, say per se, you come and the we weigh the fish, and it throws up a gizzard shad that's a pound, just for example, or whatever it throws up, because it can regurgitate. Fish do it all the time. You see it in your live wells. Um, he said, due to the fact that I had video evidence of me pulling it out of the live well, toting it up there and having it on the scales with 30 witnesses, he would have honored that. So that's a tip. Now I can't say all biologists would do that, or North Carolina wildlife biologists, he no problem. He would have definitely honored it. But the fish, for another, just a side note here, the weight stayed the exact same from the time that I originally weighed it at 2 and then again at 6. So the fish weighed the exact same to the penny. But yeah, Alex, that was, and of course, later after that, I got my photos and we released that fish back into the Neuse River alive and healthy.
Wow, that's a giant. I think my biggest is 40 pounds. I caught it at on Wheeler, and when I caught that fish, I thought I had a 100-pound blue cat. I remember it came up to the surface. We were in probably 25 feet. It was night, and when I seen that flathead finally come up, and then it swam back down, and that tail. I don't know. I think pound for pound, they've got to be the toughest fighting catfish. I mean, for sure. Like I said, I can't imagine one that big, let alone the 40-pound I had. I thought it was a 100-pound blue cat. So that's awesome. Awesome.
Absolutely, man. It was definitely a Alex, it was definitely a it was just a meant to be thing, man. It's truly incredible, man. So I'm trying to soak it in while I got it.
Yeah. So before like we were talking, you got 78 pounds, 14 ounces, and the record before was 78 pounds even. So, and how long was that record held? Do you know for sure?
Yeah. So he had it. The fella that had it before me, he had it for 15 years.
Wow. Wow. That's a long time. So how long do you think you'll have it?
Well,
Until you break your neck? Until you break it?
Well, I don't know about that, man. It's definitely a once in a lifetime fish. A funny story about that, Alex, is I've got a couple pictures. At the time when, going back in time with me and my dad fishing off the riverbank, we caught a fish. I was 12 years old at this point in time. And we had a campfire and campsite and everything set up. And he was, way down at this end talking with my uncle, and I'm at the opposite end. He said, Tyler, just watch the poles. We have 3 rods out. And I'm just hanging out, just watching the rods, mesmerized, man. No cell phone, just sitting there staring like, man, when do you go down? When do you go down? So, same thing, actually, Alex. So, and this is obviously no proof, no nothing. I got photos. Same thing. I'm 12. The rod thumps. And it's doing this, and it's slowly going down. Well, keep in mind, I'm just a kid, and I pick up the pole and I pull back, and this thing starts peeling drag. I'm like, Dad, help! It's a big one, So, man, he's trotting over here, thinking, because I'm a kid. He's like thinking it could be a 10-pound fish, and I'm tripping out. You know what I'm saying? That's a monster. I'm like, no, Dad, I'm telling you, this is something crazy. So we actually get the fish to the bank, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, me too." I'm like, "Is it an alligator or what?" Because we haven't seen a fish that big ever. So we pull that fish on the bank, and now that I'm older and I've caught larger fish, Alex, and it's hard to say, and I don't want to say, that was a state record then. Because at that time the state record was only 68 pounds. But that fish, I would put it up against the one that I caught any day. So who's to say, and I begged, I said, man, let's wait this time. We didn't have scales, we didn't have nothing. All we got is pictures. And we released it back into the river. But now that I'm older, I'm not too sure that it wasn't a state record at that time, at least. So it's that's something I'll never ever forget, and I'll always wonder. It'll haunt me forever.
Do you think growing up fishing from the bank as much as you did, that taught you and gave you some insight now that you're fishing out of the boat more?
Oh yeah, certainly. So what we used to do is not only did we catfish, but we would also go to the Outer Banks and drum fish for like bull red drum. Essentially, same technique. You on the surf, rod holders, rods, reels, cut bait, Carolina rig, throw out. I mean, it's essentially the same thing. Bringing it here, learning tactics and stuff like that. When you're bank fishing, and there's nothing wrong with bank fishing. There's a lot of great anglers that catch monster fish right off the bank. Okay, that is proven. There's people that dominate the catfish off the bank, catch bigger fish than I ever dreamed of. But absolutely, man, because everybody's scenarios are different and every river is built different. But as far as bank fishing for me, I think is a learning process. It was definitely a great learning curve on what tackle to kind of use and what baits work better, really. But as far as getting more advanced, in my opinion, I was definitely limited to bank fishing because obviously I can't move, right? It's either, throw out and the river's rising and they're moving, or it's low and whatever's there's there. So
Ram Outdoors asks, I know you like to fish 30 minutes and kind of run and gun if they're not biting. Do you sit longer at a spot during the spawn? So do you, when you're flathead fishing, do you flathead specifically fish sometimes, or is it kind of just a mixture? And how do you do that? Do you do a run and gun? Do you sit? Because, you always hear, I'll sit for 6 hours because I know there's going to be that one big fish. What's kind of your tactic?
yeah, and honestly, overall, and like I said, just endless hours of fishing, it has noticeably proven itself to me that a run and gun tactic is better for me on these smaller rivers. Now, in Alice, I can't talk for lakes. I have no input on lake fishing. I'm very new to lake fishing. I've always been a smaller river or a river fisherman in general. But for me, when the river, whatever body of water you're fishing, as far as rivers are related, and I've tried this with several rivers, and it is proven consistent and has helped me win tournaments over and over and over, or at least place, right? Run and gun is without a doubt the best way to go about things, okay? Because the only time I will probably sit at a spot for at least an hour is if I am forced to fish during the spawn. That's one. Number two is if the water is very, very low, like bottomed out low. If the water is on a rise or if it is at a elevated level of any kind, 30 minutes, 35 minutes. And I encourage anybody that's watching, next time you go out and you're in an area of river that has catfish and that there's some by, when you throw out, especially in the winter too, winter, summer, it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna do this every 12 months out of the year. Okay, I'm the same tactic. It's the same method over and over and over. What you'll find is if you're using the gears, whatever you prefer, but if you got the right bait choice out there and you throw out, you'll probably notice a couple things. And you may have never keyed in on it, but I will assure you that you'll notice a lot of times you'll get a hit within the first 15 minutes and you'll catch a fish. You may double up, but after that fish, you decide to stay another hour and a half, you may not even have a nibble. However, if the water is on a fast incline and fish are rolling and are moving down the banks of the river, essentially, yeah, you can. You can sit in spots longer, but theoretically speaking, in an instance where the river is low, nothing drastic changes, no flood waters, no nothing. Say it's just a normal level, it's calm, it's just a pretty day on the water. You'll notice when you fish that piece of cover or structure, whatever it may be a ledge, it may be a rock pile, it may be a log jam, it may be a flat. You'll see that you'll probably have a hit pretty quickly, 10 to 20 minutes. Okay. After that, you'll notice it's a ghost town. It's time to move. So, me personally, 35 minutes, and I know that's strange. Why not 30, Tyler? Why not 36 minutes? But doing it for years, 35 minutes. If I don't have a hit in 35 minutes, I'm gone. Bank, take it to the bank. I'm out of there. Unless it's during the spawn, like we were talking about, or the river is super, super bottomed out low. I'm talking like super low. And the reason that is because the water, if it's that low, there's a couple things. The fish are going to be finicky. They're going to be kind of confined in these areas. They're going to be more alert because the water is crystal clear. And they're not going to really they're not going to be any kind of feeding frenzy. However, they will hit. You just got to give them a little bit more time to entice them. um, but that's some tips, from me as far as that goes and what I believe in. But there's a lot of anglers now. Keep in mind, that experience things differently. I can only talk for what I've learned.
Yeah, that's some really good insight. That really is. So I like the 35 minutes thing. It's 35 minutes. So do you set like a timer on your phone?
Sometimes I will, or if I'm like on TikTok or something, I'll say, "All right, guys, what time is it?" And then they'll tell me, because I try to do tournament fishing live on TikTok. So that was pretty cool. Like last year, I fished an entire tournament series on live with everybody, and everybody, it was a couple things. I wanted to prove to myself and to everybody else that the things that I'm preaching is working.
Yeah.
And I think everybody could see that. I would legit say, okay, we're fishing here. He's gonna hit in 15 minutes. We're using brim. Watch this. Boom. I mean, it was I did that because I wanted to encourage people and give them a different outlook on fishing, because for me, catfishing is so important to me in my life, and I hate to see other anglers struggling with something that they really want to do good at but may not fully understand, because we all have to start somewhere. And if I feel that I can help, I'm more than willing, and I'm here for you, and I'm here to help. If somebody thinks, my tactics or a conversation with me may help, I'm here for anybody.
And I think that's a big part of why, like we talked about before the show, and what you mentioned earlier, is that the sport is on fire. It's growing rapidly, and I think it's because of social media, which a lot of people can say is bad, but overall, it's helping grow the sport, and I think it's in a positive
Absolutely.
way, especially for catch and release and taking care of fish. But just like what you said, like what we're doing the live on the water stuff, and you doing your tournament live, I mean, that's showing people, hey, I'm not a superhero. I'm out here. This is what I'm doing. I'm preaching this. You can catch fish. If I can do it, you can do it. And I think that's
That's
what
right.
helps get the younger generation involved and get more people outdoors.
100%.
Angela said, "Could you explain the difference between a blue cat and a flathead on how they fight?"
Um, yeah, so, well, so, I say that, but sometimes I actually get fooled myself. So usually, when you have a larger flathead catfish, the bite will start at the bite, the hit. The hit can sometimes be slow pull downs. He might sit there and play with that thing forever, and then he might finally go with it. But depending on the size, the 40 and up class fish tend to do that for me. Kind of, especially when you get that 50 range. They're kind of slow but extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. A 20, 30, 15 pound flathead will hit that thing like a rocket ship and pull drag, and you think you've got a monster in it. And a lot of times it's not. A blue catfish, for me, depending on the time of year, in the summer, in the spring, it seems like they just come 1,000 miles an hour and just lay into it. And you think you sitting there, everything's cool, and all you hear is drag going off, and you're get the rod, get the rod, But sometimes, like right now, when the water temp drops, the fishing here certainly has done nothing but pick up. Okay, it's only gotten better as these fish kind of group up. But these larger fish, for over 40 pounds, 40, 50 pounds, it seems like they hit it and kind of pull, and they'll like straighten your rod out, but they won't like, they're not trying to boom, you know what I'm saying? It's like they're kind of
Yeah.
just, it's solid. It's a bigger fish. But as far as actually hooking into and fighting, blue catfish tend, depending on the size, fish under 25 pounds tend to come to the surface more easy and spin and do a roll, which can result in a lot of pulled hooks. Okay, you got a fish pulling against a current, just chilling. A big 50, 60, 70 pound blue can, a lot of times I've seen them hit and come to the boat, and then it's an up and down battle, pretty much. Flathead the same way, flathead, a big flathead. Let's put it this way: bigger flatheads and bigger blues. I would essentially say about the same kind of fight. A big flathead is like pulling up a like a tree trunk, though, man. It's like he's just like, it's like you ever go flounder fishing, but imagine you got one on like 50 pounds, right? And he's just like, man, you can't pull him up. He's just like stuck. So I would say neck and neck, a 50-pound blue versus a 50-pound flathead on the fight. It's probably going to take a little longer to get the flathead in my experience. They are some very powerful creatures, and they're just a beast, man. But as far as like, it there's no 100% obvious difference to me because they all like different depending on the size of the fish. So I hope that
So
answered your question. I hope that just
yeah,
kind of
no, that's
sloppy
good.
there. It's hard.
I agree with that too. I think it's times a year too sometimes, but like I said, it's for me. I don't catch a lot of flatheads. If I catch I don't target them. So if I catch one, it's luck. Like I said, I kind of lucked into one on Wheeler, but I just loved how when it came up to the surface, just to watch that tail and that just
Man,
giant. It was
it's
so awesome.
amazing. It's
I
amazing,
just
man.
love
So powerful. So powerful.
very, very powerful. So earlier we were talking about the 30-minute run and gun. I think you need I don't know, maybe you already do, but you need a shirt that says the Tyler Barnes 30-minute run and gun, because you've got quite a few people saying, I listened to Tyler Barnes 30 minutes and moved this past summer and caught a 30-pound flathead, moved less than 80 yards downriver and caught a 36.
That's
And then
fantastic.
Mike said, my son has been trying the last 2 years to get me on the 30-minute rule, but I'm old and stuck in my ways. I might have to listen to him. So I think there's a lot of truth to that, and you see that because, I always talk about when you're tournament fishing and you're out there, you're competitive, like you don't want to get beat, so you don't get lazy. But if you're out there fun fishing by yourself and it's a bad bite, you can kind of get lazy and say, you know what? Well, now it's been 2 hours. I'm going to get a lunch or a sandwich out of the cooler. So the run and gun can really kind of keep you moving and figure out what that bite is. I mean, I really like that 30-minute run and gun deal.
Yeah, and that's just work, over time, that's just definitely, something that has grown, and you notice it. You notice it, like it's not something self-taught, but you notice it. It's like, man, how come I sit up here and I caught him in 10 minutes? I ain't had a bite in 2 hours. Then I went to the next spot and I caught another one in 10 minutes and I didn't have a bite. Like, why is that? Then you keep going and you're going, and then eventually you tweak to what works for you.
So Mike Doyle, he said in the spawn, this is a guy from Illinois, and we got a lot of good flathead waters. He said, in the spawn, do you target flatties in shallow water, 2 foot and under, or deeper?
Something went wrong. Please try again.
I don't know what that was about. But...
So it's already responding to my answer.
Yeah.
Try again, Tyler. No, so really, the dead of spawn is such a hard time to catch flathead catfish. It can be done, but it's hard. But pre-spawn is a very, very good time. Very exciting. The fish are on fire, man. They're gorgeous, man. It's such a great time to be fishing. But we're going to talk about the dead of spawn. Well, actually, the areas that they're in is very similar for me in my bodies of water. In the spawn or pre-spawn is about the only time that I'm targeting that little bit deeper water, meaning 6 to 12 feet. Okay, so that don't sound deep, right? 6 foot, yeah, but 6, 7, 8 foot seems to be the key. And then also, I'm looking for the nastiest stuff that I can possibly find during the spawn. Okay, as far as like log jams and things of that nature, but that is pretty much what I'm going to be looking for is those 6 to 8, 9 foot even areas with that may have a big lay down tree and a river bend, or it could be right on a straightaway. It could be on a straightaway, but on one end of the bank you may see. Most of it's flat, but over there on that bank right there, it's like a channel that runs down. That is, man, that's premier flathead fishing right there. It can be 3 foot all over here, but over here it's 7 foot, man. It could be for 50 yards and there's a tree lay there. You can bank on there's gonna be a flathead staged up there. And that's when I approach it in a way of being a little bit more stealthy, just a little bit, not a lot. You'll be surprised that you don't have to be stealthy in the shallow water. But that's when I will definitely sit about an hour in those areas like that. So I kind of hope that answered your question there. But overall, I will say catching flathead trophy flathead catfish, you can still catch smaller 10, 15 pound, but catching the 40, 50, 60 pound in the dead of spawn one, I wouldn't really recommend it anyway. I'm a fan of let them kind of do their thing for a little bit. It'll last a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and then go back to catching them. But if you must go because it's a tournament or whatever it may be, you know get right up in there with them. You've almost got to hit them in the face with the brim or whatever you're throwing. I recommend live bait. But you've got to put it within range, man, like this far. Like you've got to, because a lot of times you can be on them and your baits ain't close enough. And you'll say, man, I just know there's one here. And there could be, but if you're not, you got to really entice that fish. And a lot of times he'll pick your bait up, move it, and let go and not actually hit it. He'll grab it, crush it, let it go, and just get it away from its nest. But really, spawn, man, a lot of times it's a luck thing. Right time, right place, right little bait, you hit it. There's so many variables. That's why everybody says it is a ghost town during the spawn. Well, it ain't a ghost town. The fish are there. They're thicker than ever. They didn't go anywhere. They're there. It's that much harder to get them to hit.
So you said something that enticed a question from me, and then I got a couple more. But when you said that they crush it, so I assume that most of the time you use live bait, or you try to if you can have live bait.
Oh, yes, certainly. Yeah. So for me, when I'm flathead fishing, and I'll go ahead and go through all the months, okay, for anybody that's asking, some people say, man, you can't catch flatheads in the winter. Well, you can. Now, keep in mind, every region's different. Our lows here, we might get 20 degrees, 15 degrees. You're talking about like what, -10 over there, -40 or whatever. So now that I don't know. I'm relating to Eastern North Carolina. So keep that in mind. But we're going to start December, January, February, and the beginning of March. You can catch flatheads on little pieces of cut bait. I would never recommend you throw a live bait at all. Little pieces of shad, just little pieces of gizzard shad, man. Little stuff. Hit the deepest spots that you can find, the deepest holes that you can find, low current. They're in there. Coming into April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, live bait. I'm a huge fan of live brim and live eel. Okay, those are two. If you're not fishing, during the summer, spring, and the fall with live baits for flatheads, I'm not saying you can't catch them on cut bait because you can. Yeah, I mean, no doubt, you certainly can. But for me, if you are seriously set out, I'm going flathead fishing, I'm going to catch them, you need your limit of live brim and the live well. That's my opinion.
Okay. So back to the crushing. When
Mhm.
I've been in situations where I wasn't targeting flatheads, but I had live bait and I'd throw it out and just they would just slam it, but like
Mhm.
let go. Like they would just strike it, kill it, and that's all they want to do with it. It must have been getting close to them. They didn't want nothing to do with it.
Mhm.
What do you do in those situations?
Throw out again. Yeah, because a lot of times, and I've done this many times, that's a good sign that there is a healthy fish potentially there. Especially that only really happens to me during the spawn. If it happens to me during the summer, it seems to be maybe a smaller fish that was just being greedy. Because a lot of times, you throw a big bait out there and you might have a 5 pound flathead just trying to swallow this thing.
Yeah.
But if he's starting to spawn and I'm throwing a massive brim, I'm talking a 2 pound, pound and a half brim, um, you know, and he goes and that rod's going down and then it comes up and I reel it in and the halfway of that brim is crushed soft. I'll take another one, throw right back over there. Sometimes I've had them do it. I had a scenario. I was fishing kind of on the outside, so it kind of was a bend, and then I got a straightaway. Well, down that straightaway, there was a massive tree laid down in about 7 feet of water. Well, I sat there. I took a broom. I threw that thing out about 30 minutes. He sat there. He hit it and pulled down. I said, "Oh," I said, "Man, he let go." I said, "God, you can essentially see your line, your rod going down, and your line cutting across the water, and then just let go." He's just killing it, moving it. He did that 3 times. So after the fourth time, I said, "He's gonna take this thing." So finally, he smashed it, and I actually ended up catching a fish being 57 pounds. But it took 4 tries. That's how finicky and picky they are during the spawn. But a lot of times, like I said, they'll just move the fish out of the way. They're not hungry. They're alert, man. They're trying to protect their eggs, their nest. They're just like, "Don't come near me."
Well, that's some good insight.
So we've got Mickey asking, sorry, what's in the future for real fishing? He loves the brand and products. His son wears his hoodie daily. So
Man,
what's in the future for that?
well, that's awesome. Now, such a great question. So right here, if you guys don't know, so I did start a business this April. Right here, it's called For Real Fishing, and essentially, long term, it is designed. It's a company that we are ultimately trying to develop products that will change the industry as far as tournament fishing or just fishing in general. And it's leaned towards fish care. Okay, anything and everything to help keep your bait fish alive, your tournament fishing, your catfish alive, and it's not going to be targeted just towards catfish. Okay, it's going to be targeted towards any type of fishing. Hence, for real fishing and not for real catfishing. So that's kind of where we're leaning towards. But at the same time, this goes back to me being passionate about the sport and really wanting to see the industry grow and thrive. And I'm a person that believes in helping the fellow angler, giving them real information, not trying to throw them down the loop, trying to get them involved and to help them catch fish. Okay, so essentially what we're also doing is trying to build a brand that is based around helping other anglers get better out on the water. Or if there's anglers that want a potential, maybe some extra support on through social media as far as lifting them up, sharing their social media, giving, we want to give people confidence because there's so many great anglers out there on the water that are really trying to build a name for themselves. So along with For Real Fishing not only having fish care products, we want to lift up our fellow anglers and really just bring a lot of positivity to our sport. But as of right now, as you can imagine, building these unique tested products takes a lot of time. For Real Fishing's been here since April 1st of last year. I'm very blessed that we have so many people on board. We have so many people wearing our brand. We have so many people, fishing in our apparel. And we're very thankful for that. And I can assure you that together we're going to build something that is absolutely amazing for everybody. Now, for at the time being, we do have, simple accessories and apparel. So right now it's just apparel. We're building a presence, building the brand, and just have faith in us. But together we're going to build something that is going to be absolutely amazing for everybody. So that's a great question, but that's kind of where we're heading long term. But nothing happens overnight.
Yeah, that's true, man. Well, I'm excited to see, like I said, how far you became just in social media and all that stuff. There's a few more questions, but I want to kind of get into your start in social media. And, for somebody watching, there's so many people that, like you said, the sport's growing fast. There's a lot of anglers making names for themselves. You've obviously done that very well. Is there something that you would recommend, a new person that says, hey, I want to get into this catfishing, I'm going to go all in, do I need to, get TikTok, or kind of give us your social media breakdown of how you became so famous in the sport of catfishing?
Man, so that's such a great question. And that is also why a huge portion of why we started For Real Fishing as well, to help the people that do want to help grow their name in the sport. But if you're an angler that is watching right now and you're like, man, first thing, do not get discouraged, okay? All right, that's number one. If you don't see it working, if you're making posts and you're tagging your companies that you represent and you're not seeing a lot of clout or a lot of, trust me, it's working. People are seeing, people are pulling for you. Just give it time and do not quit. Stay persistent. Every time you go fishing, it doesn't matter what fishing it is. It could be catfishing, trout fishing, flounder, whatever. If you want to grow in that sport, you can. There's a lot of potential for anybody. Okay, it's not we choose you, we choose you. No, anybody can make it as far as they want to. Never get discouraged. When you go out and you catch a 20-pound catfish, man, hold that thing up, take a picture of it, put it on social media. I do recommend all social media platforms. Now, sometimes that can get hectic and you can't run them all, but go on Facebook, go on TikTok, make some posts, make some little videos, make simple posts. That's how I started. I went every weekend. And I don't care how good I did. I could have caught a 10-pounder, I could have caught a 50 or whatever. First thing I would do, take a selfie, a picture, hold it up, and say, went fishing on the Neuse River this weekend, landed 5 fish, biggest one's 20 pounds, can't wait till next time. Do it over and over and over. Start doing some videos, trying to help other anglers out, saying, hey, this is the knot that I like to tie. Check this out. You'll be so surprised on how many people are, so grateful that you took the time to give them some tips, because things that we know as anglers that's been doing it for a while, sometimes you kind of forget that there was a time we didn't know nothing. So don't forget that you started at nothing and you didn't know nothing. I didn't know nothing. None of us knew nothing. It's like I said, surround yourself with positive people. That is such an important thing. Surround yourself with positive people. I'm telling you, if there's a lot of negativity in your live feeds, or not your live feed, your social media, if you pull up Facebook, man, and you've got people that are bashing this guy on this post and bashing that and that and that, block them, get them gone, gone out of there. You'll notice that your feed is full of nothing but positivity. Surround yourself with positive people. Those people are going to push you to your next level. I promise you. Surround yourself with positive people. Promote yourself. Do not be afraid to promote yourself. Okay. There's going to be times that you're saying, man, is this going to embarrass me? Is this going to make me look goofy? Or look, I do crazy stuff all the time. Look, we're just like, I'm as goofy as it can be. Like, I'm just some dude with curly hair out here trying to, do some catfishing, man. Look, just go out there, have fun, stay positive, take some pictures, tag the companies that you represent. Doesn't matter who it is, it don't matter what boat you got, doesn't matter anything. Just go fish, post pictures, go live if you would like to. I do encourage anglers to go live. I really do. I think that's you've got a lot of eyes on you, and you can grow your name very well, very quickly by going live, but you do not have to, okay? I know that's intimidating, I really do. I remember my first time going live, I was like shaking in my boots. I was like, Jesus Lord, these people gonna think I'm crazy, some redneck guy over here, talking about a catfish. But it ended up being some of the coolest stuff ever. But like I said, it's just simple steps. Surround yourself with positive people. Go fishing. Support everybody that you feel like you need to support. Support your anglers. Okay, we're all in this together. And just keep pushing and don't give up. And I promise you, here's one thing that you can take to the bank. If you're promoting and you're doing good in the catfishing world, there are companies out there looking for you harder than you're looking for them. I promise you, because when you're an angler that builds value to their self, you become valuable to the companies that you represent. Be very careful on the companies that you represent. Okay. But it doesn't matter whoever you're pulling for, whatever brand you're using, that's totally up to you. It's all personal preference. But make sure the brands that you represent are good, like-minded, positive people, because therefore that company will also push you to another level. So, like I said, don't get discouraged. It doesn't happen overnight. But if you try and promote and keep doing your thing and surround yourself with positive people, you'll see that in just a few months' time how much you've grown. So don't give up and keep pushing, because I'm pulling for you. And if there's anything that I can do for you, let me know, and I'm here to help you.
That's great advice. Being positive. A couple years ago, I had one of my best friends told me about Gary Vaynerchuk, and he was always about get rid of that negative drama in your life, and surround yourself with positive people. Same thing in the catfishing industry. You know what I mean? Or anything that you're doing when you want to build yourself, and like what you've done, be positive, help others, and you've really helping others with giving advice, because a lot of people don't want to come on my show because they don't want to give away their secrets or whatever. And you can't look at it like that, because when you give away something you do, or you go live, you're showing people, hey, that you can do this, and then you're building your brand. And that's what's really, I think, helped taking off. There's so many people just looking at the comments from YouTube and Facebook, how many people are following you, and the 30-minute run and gun, something that you might have just had fun with and say, this is what I do. Now look at how many people do that. So every little thing matters. Being positive, helping people out. Man, that's awesome. So that's some great advice. Everybody watching, understand that there are a lot of people, like you said, brands are looking for people like that, positive influence people. You don't have to be the best angler in the country. That doesn't matter.
You do
But being
not.
positive and being out there helping people, that's what it's about. 100%.
And listen, you don't even have to tournament fish. Okay, if you think, man, I got to be a tournament fisherman to be well known in the fishing industry, you do not. Some of the most famous people have never fished a tournament in their life.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, just being a good person and doing the right stuff, man, you're gonna get there. If you want to do tournaments, that's a great way to collaborate with people and get your name out there that way as well. And there's nothing wrong with it. But some people don't like tournament fishing, and that is okay. And don't feel stressed like you have to, because here's another thing: tournaments are great until they stress you out, because they will. Because if you're a person that likes competition, such as I like to, I like to go fish these tournaments and do good. And if I don't do good, why didn't I? Why didn't I do better? I should have fished it like this. I'm learning. How can I get better? That guy's always winning. How can I beat that guy? What's the deal here? Why? If he can do it, I can do it. So there's so many variables, but everything as far, especially tournament fishing, takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, but I promise you, if you put in the work, there ain't a person out there that can stop you. Okay, so you go out there, do your thing, and if you want a tournament fish, I'm pulling for you. If you don't want a tournament fish, that's okay too. I'm still pulling for you. I want everybody to do good and enjoy the sport of catfishing and just have fun, man. Daggone, it's just about it. Sometimes, you know, this stuff gets blown way out of proportion. Okay, like don't get me wrong, catfishing's growing on strong, but man, there's a lot of things that's coming on in the industry as things are growing and new companies are coming out and just things is exploding. Everybody wants to get with the things that's happening, the new thing. Just chill out. Just chill. Just go fishing. Just chill. Don't go search for that and this or that. Just go fishing, make some videos, post. Let them come to you because they will. Telling you, don't go to them.
And there's nothing better than that when a company comes to you because of what you've done. You know what I mean? That's powerful. You know what I mean?
It is.
And they will, like I said, you continue to be positive and stay out there, and companies will find you.
100%.
They're always looking. Let's see. Back to a little bit of tactics, and we'll kind of get into some of the gear real quick. Rattles. So you're using a lot of live bait. Do you use rattles? Do you think rattles helps, hurts? Give us your thoughts on. We always talk about rattles with everybody on the show. What's your thoughts on rattles?
So all right, so when I get into topics like this, first thing I'm gonna say is if it's working for y'all, I'm talking to everybody watching. If it's working for you, don't change it. But for Tyler, I don't think the rattles do much. Okay, I've never used them. Okay, maybe a couple times I've used them, but doing the tactics that I do now, man, I don't see how the fishing can get much better. I'm telling you, I personally, me personally, do not use the rattles, nor do I think they benefit a whole lot. Now, there's going to be some people on here to say, man, that Tyler, man, he just don't know what he's talking about. And that's okay. I'm just giving you guys my honest opinion. I don't use anything extra. I've got a weight, I've got leader line, I've got a hook, and I've got my bait. The bait is what's going to get the fish because, man, you also got to think, man, how many bream are out there swimming with rattles attached to them? You know what I'm saying? Just think, I know it adds a little vibration, a little. Listen, just keep it simple, man. In my opinion, okay. But some people, man, say, Tyler, if you ain't using a rattle, you ain't fishing, and that's great. But Tyler, personally, I personally don't. That's just me.
Okay, which is good. Like I said, and like you said, if it's working for you, don't
Correct.
change it. Like I said, the main thing is you're positive in what you're using.
Correct. Be confident.
Then I had another question on the moon. So you always hear, sky or wind from the east, the fish bite the least, all these sayings. What's your thoughts on the moon? How important is if you're going to go day fishing and there was a full moon the night before? I mean, do you really, really focus in like, okay, it's going to be a full moon, the water's dropping. Like, what's your thoughts on the moon?
Yeah, so the moon for me in the winter months, man, I don't think it makes any difference, man. To me in the winter months, because I'm primarily targeting blue catfish, and historically, I ain't gonna say historically, but most of the time the water's elevated pretty good. The water's pretty murky. It's rolling. Normally the fishing is good every time I go out. If I know, sometimes I'm fun fishing. I'm going to ramps that I know probably not going to produce that good, but I'm going anyway because I just want to go for a while. But if I'm really sincerely trying to target fish and like I've got a tournament coming or something, I don't care what the moon phase. I don't see that one is better than another. However, for flathead catfish, when the water is very low, I have 100% noticed this pattern. On a full moon, when the water is low, I catch a lot of fish. Small fish. Smaller. Now, I've caught some 50 plus pound flatheads on the full moon. But for me, a full moon when the water's low, I catch a lot of fish, not quality fish, but quantity. Well, sometimes you'll slip into a big one, but on a new moon, it's like a ghost town, but I catch bigger fish almost every single time. Almost every time. And I can tell people when we get to a captain's meeting or we get to the ramp or if I go live, I'm gonna say, guys, okay, new moon tonight, the river's kind of low. It's gonna be dead slow, but we have the chance to catch a monster. And it holds true, man, Alex, just about every time. And I can't confirm, you know, I can't tell you why because I really don't know. I think the bigger and more dominant fish are definitely smart. They're very smart, and I think the darker it is, the more comfortable they are to movement and lurking and being out and about, man. But as far as a full moon on low water, man, I think they're just not very, very, very comfortable. I swear it kind of throws them in a loop. Like it's like they're not certain. They can see way too well. Like I feel like I don't know. It's a hard thing to answer. But what I can tell you, full moon, more fish, smaller. New moon, less fish, but bigger. But the true reason, man, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, if I wish I did, but it's very true. It's very true. I'm certain on that.
That's good. That's good insight though. Trey Stroop says, Tyler, what's your favorite flathead rig, and what factors affect leader length?
Yeah. So my favorite rig is right here. I got one in my hand. This right here is a 10-aught Daiichi offset circle hook with a snail knot. Okay, is that snail knot?
Yep.
All right. This is about 18 to 20 inches of leader. I have a aluminum crimp and then a
Oh,
stainless
another
steel.
stripper. I love it. I love it.
You like that?
Oh yeah.
So there's your crimp, and then I have a barrel swivel. That is it. That's simple. It's that easy. I've used it for years and years and years and this is it. That's as simple as it is. And then I'll throw I don't have one, but just a sinker slider. It's just a sinker slider rig or a fish finder rig, whatever you like to call it. But that's it. It's just that simple. It's really
You're going braid. You're going braid to a two-way,
Mm-hmm.
and then your sinker slider is on that braid.
Correct. Yes, sir. Yep.
So do you do that? Do you like to be able to, if there's a little bit of current, to let a little bit of line through that, or do you try to keep it tight?
Yeah, keep it tight. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's always your your length. You're never going to make it 2 foot or.
So as far as the leader line length, for me, I don't think it makes a humongous difference. If we're talking about flathead catfish, now blue catfish, different rivers, deeper places, lakes, pulling planer stuff. Okay, yeah. There's some times you probably need it longer. But for speaking for flathead catfish, in these shallow rivers, essentially we're anchored up on a log jam or a piece of cover or a piece of structure, whatever. It could be a ledge, it could be a rock pile, a log jam, whatever it may be. I don't see that a leader this long, 18 inches versus a leader 25 inches. I don't, and I've tried them all and they all work equally. They all work. I don't see that one does more than the other. Some people may say, "Well, Tyler, when you hook the brim, just makes them swim all around." Man, I don't know, man. You put a 10-aught hook in a brim, man. He's probably, he's tripping out a little bit. He ain't like he is. You just throw him in the water. I'm telling you. But
How are you hooking that? How are you hooking your bait?
So there's a couple ways. So that's a great question. I wish I had something. Yeah, I don't have anything I can use for reference, but in higher current situations, I'll take the brim and I will go from the dorsal fin towards at an angle the front of the head. Okay, and that keeps that brim somewhat better swimming with the current. Swimming with the current. If that water's high and I hook him in the back of the tail and throw him out there, essentially he's probably going to drown because he's got 40-mile-an-hour currents going through his gill. He's not doing so good. But however, what I've seen is if I take that offset hook, whatever hook brand you use, doesn't matter, whatever you like, okay, and I put at an angle from the door. I wish I had I need like a replica or something. And I go from the dorsal fin at a sharp angle towards the front of the head. That does two things. I personally think these flatheads a lot of times will try to get the bait in their mouth. Well, any catfish head first, from my experience, from what I see, head first. So your hook is in there first. Okay. Another thing is when you put it at that angle. I know there's anglers in here that's going to agree with this. How many times have you had fish hit, slammed a rod? Oh man, why didn't you hook up? You reel it in, and the hook has turned and got back into the bait and covered up the hook. Man, he missed. He was on it and he was peeling but he couldn't catch. When you put your bait at a sharp angle going towards, man, I need something. We're going to use this box over right here. You see this thing? That's the
Yeah.
head of the brim, okay? Say that's the dorsal fin. You're going to come right here. Oh, okay, here we go. And you're going to come up like that. Okay, so the hook's essentially going to be like this or something. I don't know. It's kind of, anyway, it's so hard to say. But anyway, towards the front of the brim, that's going to help the brim swim with the current, and it's going to prevent that hook from laying over. As I ain't gonna say it's gonna stop at 100%, but it helps it from laying over. Another way that you can do it that a lot of anglers do it is just simply say this is the tail, they just hook it from behind the dorsal fin throughout the back and throw it, and that's okay too. I just feel like that is a better tactic when maybe it's a little low. But I will say 95% of my time, especially on a bigger brim, I'm hooking it from the dorsal fin forward towards the front of the head. Horrible example. Matter of fact, I need to get a replica with a hook in it. So like that's how it is. Because that was kind of bad, but it's so hard too. It's so hard. And listen, people that have done it like that, I often get messages saying, Tyler, my hookup ratio skyrocketed. For one, like I said, I think it's man, this is as soon as that flathead gets it, it's in there. Like it's too late. Another thing is, and that helps with these short strikes too. But a lot of times when you're throwing a big bait like that, man, and current and stuff, that hook can be doing anything. But like I said, that helps prevent the hook from laying back over inside on the side of the brim and hooking back into it, missing fish. For me, that is the best way that I know how to hook my live bait.
Yeah.
Right?
Man,
I don't even know what that was.
that was pretty cool. We need to do more of that.
But no, that's awesome. Like I said, it's those little things that can help anglers catch more fish. And then once you're out there and you catch more fish, that you want to go out and get it again. Joey said, once I started putting my hook in like that, my hookup ratio went up tremendously.
Fantastic, man. That's great. That's awesome.
So another question. Here's another good one. I would have asked this too, but Angela and Joey talk about the barometric pressure. What's your thoughts on that? Is it important? Do you change how you target fish depending on pressure?
None, zero. I don't think in rivers that are shallow, I'm talking 20 feet or less. Man, I don't think it makes any difference for no way, shape, which way, form. I don't think it does nothing. However, deeper rivers and lakes, I do think it can have some effect in it. Now, I'm not, as an angler that's always fished these rivers that I have fished, I'm confident in saying the barometric pressure, don't stress it. Keep it simple. Don't worry about saying, man, the barometric pressure's high today, ain't gonna catch nothing. You can catch fish every day. There's no such thing. Here's something. Here's something that I stress to people, and I don't know how many people's watching, but I hope it's hundreds. And when I do my seminar next month, here's something that I'm going to be preaching as well. There's one tip I'm about to tell everybody that has made me such a better angler on the water. And there's a lot of great fishermen that know this but don't tell people. But I'm going to tell you because I'm going to help you. Keep in mind, take this to the bank. I don't care if you got to get a tattoo of this. I don't care if you got to put it on your refrigerator. Remember this, and you're going to consistently do better. I promise you. There is no. This is Tyler. I'm probably gonna get bashed for this. Okay, people are gonna say, Tyler, you're crazy. It doesn't really matter. There is no such thing as a slow day of fishing. You are either where the fish are or you're not. Okay, and what I mean by that, I cannot tell you how many times, and I'm not a bragger. I'm not nothing. It doesn't matter. There's been so many times. I'm very observant, okay? And think about it for yourself. If you're tournament fishing and you went out there fishing and man, you fished for 12 hours long and you caught 2 fish, but man, first, second, third over there, man, they caught 20 fish that day. They had a blast. They slaughtered them. You'll notice it's like that just about every time. So once I started noticing, okay, I didn't catch nothing, but so and so over there is dominating. They're dominating. You like Shane Wasser said, find the feed and fish. I think, like I said, once I learned that, I've had countless, countless times that I've gone to a weigh-in and I have slaughtered the fish. Okay, like I mean, I'm having 20, 30 fish days. I'm having doubles. I am just dominating. I get to the weigh-in. Somebody comes up to me and says, Tyler, man, that was a tough day, man. That was some tough fishing. And I'm like, yeah, it was. I never tell, man, not when I caught 30 fish. You're never gonna hear me say that. Just know that if you're fishing, especially pre-fishing for a tournament, that's how I look at it every time. If I've got a tournament coming up and I'm fishing and I'm not catching fish, it's not the barometric pressure. It's not my rigs. It's not my poles. It's not what boat I'm on. It's not the sun. It's not the moon. I'm not where the fish are. And it makes such a big difference. And you'll see the more that you move in the different sections of river that you fish can hold fish so much more here than over here. And once you put more time in on the water, and you try different ramps and you try different areas, you'll go out there and you'll confuse yourself. You'll put in at this ramp, and man, I caught 2 fish today. Fishing was so bad, but I'm gonna get up at daybreak and go somewhere else. The next day, you went 75 miles away to a different ramp and you fished some deeper water or whatever it may be. Man, it was the best day. Man, I caught so many fish. The clouds were out today. Yesterday it was sunny. Man, that's the best. Man, hang that up. You found the fish, and you can go the next day, and the next day, and I don't care if it's storming, raining, hurricane, you'll go and catch those fish again until they move. Because blue catfish move like you would not believe, especially on a rising river, man. So don't get discouraged when you're fishing and you're not catching and you're doing it right. Just know you're simply not where the fish are. Move around, move, go to a different ramp, go do something drastically different. And you'll see that what I just said is very true. Or just look at your tournaments. Look at your proven example. Okay, you've got 50 people in the tournament, these 5 people at top are slaughtering them. They're always consistent. They're always on them. Are they lucky? Nah, they're just where the fish are, man. You got to find the fish. Trust me, they're feeding every day. Find out where they're at, and you're gonna do good, man. There's no such thing as a slow day. Forget the barometric pressure. That don't get complicated. The fish are put here to swim, spawn, and eat. And that's all they do, man. Just go find them. Just go throw the bait out and catch them. That's it. Time
Yeah,
on the water.
that,
Chad
that's
says time on the
that's
water.
what's funny. Yeah, that's what's funny about tournament fishing is, you go out by yourself, like I said, you can get lazy and just, not have a good day. But when you tournament fish, just like our last tournament, Lake of the Ozarks, we had 48 boats. Out of 48 boats, some people had it's a good fishery. Some people struggled. The top 5, top 10, the first and second place did not struggle at all. Second
Dominated.
place, JT Ray said he got sick of catching fish, him and his wife and son.
Yeah.
They were just on them, on them, on them. You know what I mean? So the fish are biting somewhere, and if you're not catching fish, what you said. Do a drastic change. Go deep, go shallow, go up, go down, do something different, and find those fish.
Exactly. And a great example, and I'll keep this short for you. The last tournament that I fished on the Neuse River Championship tournament, I fished live on TikTok, and I don't know if anybody's watching or if anybody remembers. But I fished for maybe 7 hours. I caught one fish. And I told everybody on the live feed, I said, guys, it's not slow. These fish are feeding. They're here. But now I have fished enough spots. I know where they're at. And they're not here. I made a bad call. We're gonna run. We're gonna make a run. I got on the boat. We floored it. We rode for 45 minutes. And Alex, let me tell you something. As soon as I started anchoring up on this whole different the river, the whole different area. Not even it's built different, just whole different area. I caught so many fish. It was like boom, light switch. And everybody was like, man, the fishing turned on, man. The moon went behind the no, man. We moved to where the fish were. Ghost town here, 25 miles this way. Boom, 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 boom. We're culling, the rods is getting slammed. I'm sweating to death from catching nothing to dominating. And ended up winning the tournament because we made a 25-mile run. And it was just because it don't take but an hour to win. It don't take but 5 minutes to win a tournament. It don't take but 1 minute. So once you make that move, you might not think it's worth it, but one cast out could be a difference. It really could.
Yeah, because a lot of anglers will quit at noon. They'll say, I've had a rough day, and they'll load their boat and go home. And like there's 3 hours of fishing left. So much can happen.
Oh my gosh, yes. Lord have mercy. Absolutely. Absolutely. Never give up. Never, as bad as things look, don't quit. Because I'm telling you, there's been dozens of times where I fished all night looking one fish. Sun comes up, boom, 50 pounder. Don't quit. Just don't care how many energy drinks you got to have. Just don't quit. Keep pushing and don't get bored and go to sleep. Grind. You got to want it. You got to want it.
So what's next for you? Do you have any adventures you're taking? Do you have any bucket list places to go? Have you been to the Mississippi? Like, what's your bucket list place to go, or what's your plans for 2024?
Yeah, so that's a good question. It's very emotional for me, because I have fished here. Alex, I have fished here locally forever. I'm extremely comfortable on the water. I have so many memories. I am just so confident in my local surroundings. Um, what I've decided to do is, too, Alex, I've invested in a new boat, something that is built is I got a Sea Arc Dynasty 2.0, and what I have promised myself is that for Tyler, in order for me, woo, there it is, in order for me to get better as an angler, I must leave my comfort zone. Okay. As much as there's a tournament here, and I'm pretty certain I can come top three or potentially win, I need to lay off of that. I've got to force myself to travel and find different bodies of water, fishing different tournament series, and get better. And prove not only to the people watching, but to myself that the tactics that I'm preaching are not a joke and they're serious and they will work anywhere in the country, is my goal. As far as tournaments coming up, I am brand new to lake fishing. Brand new. I mean, spanking brand new. Pulled my planer boards for the first time a couple weeks ago. Brand new. Like, this is I've only anchor fished, okay? And the first tournament coming up is the Ice Bowl. So it's not this coming weekend, but the next. I'll be there. Don't know how that's going to go because that is like devastating me. I found a couple fish, but not really what I'm looking for. But I'm smart enough to know that I haven't found the fish, but I haven't had enough time to put in. But as far as larger events, I do plan on fishing the Sea Arc Invitational coming in April. So I do plan on fishing that tournament. I'm very excited about that. So our strategy is we will probably take a week off and probably travel down there. I think it's like over 10 hours for us to get there. And we'll do some pre-fishing up until tournament day as well. So that's really one of the major besides the Ice Bowl. Sea Arc Invitational is definitely one of the largest tournaments around, and I'm very excited, very nervous to fish something like that because it's new to even me. Fishing 200 boat tournaments is new. I'm used to 30 to 50 boats, not 250. So but yeah, that's definitely, Alex, on the bucket list. I want to someday. I would love. I'm unfortunately not in a position to travel consistently and fish tournaments. But sure, I'd love to fish the King Cat Trail. I'd love to fish all these series. I'd love to fish all of them. I really would. I would fish every one of them if I could. But financially, that is impossible for me. Could you imagine? I mean, I couldn't even
Yeah.
imagine doing all that, but long term, that's what I want to do, Alex, is travel and fish and just bouncing back and forth between tournament series and trails and see what I can really do. That's my goal.
Well, the Ice Bowl and the Sea Arc tournament is going to be two big events for you for sure.
Oh,
You
certainly.
know, yeah,
Certainly.
we'll love to have you at the Invitational. That's going to be a fun time.
Yes,
The
sir.
third, this will be the 13th annual Sea Arc Owners. So
That's crazy, man. I'm definitely very excited to go fish and meet everybody. And if I don't, like I said, fishing out in places like that, it's a learning curve for me. But what I also want to do is I want to put in a whole lot of time and learn these places. And guess what? I want to tell everybody what I've learned because there ain't no secrets here, dog. I want everybody to have confidence in themselves, whether they know that body water or not. I want everybody to do good. And if I can help, Tyler's gonna help you. Take it to the bank. I'm gonna help.
So I had another question about how you target new bodies of water. So like if you're like the Ice Bowl, how far is that from you?
Depending on what ramp you put in, like Clarksville would be like 2.5 hours.
So do you look at maps a lot before you go to that lake?
A
Kind of
lot.
see what you like and kind of go check those areas out.
Oh, certainly, yes. I'll spend a whole lot of time on like my Lake Master map chip for my Humminbird or like Navionics or something like that, looking at the contours and seeing the differences and seeing the different depths and how that lake is built, and looking at the rivers that come in and things like that, and kind of predict and try to. And it's hard for me because I have this much experience on lakes, okay, this much. But I have been able to put fish in the boat, nothing major, no 100-pound fish, but I have found some areas that's been decent, not not, over the top confident over here or nothing, but I've been able to catch a few fish. We may get skunked on tournament day. I really don't know. But yes, before I go to any river, James River, any river, when we go to the Sea Arc Invitational, I'm gonna look at the time of year and know, okay, these fish may be running upriver, they could be downriver, they could be about middle of the pack, or the shad running. What's the deal? What's the water temp? Are they getting ready to pre-spawn? Is the spawn time? What's the deal? And kind of look at the contours and the maps and the creeks and things like that, and kind of go off of that. But one thing I will say, I kind of feel like these fish, and I can't confirm it. I can't confirm it because, like I said, I'm new to lakes. I hope to confirm it one day, maybe a year from now or two. We can revisit this same question.
Yeah.
But I kind of think they're gonna all act the same, man. The fish is a fish, different body of water. I swear they're gonna do the same thing. They got to eat, swim, and spawn. I mean, you just got to find out where they're more comfortable at doing that and what body of water. And where does the bait go? Is the bait in the lake, or maybe do they go in creeks, or maybe are they in the flats on the main lake? You got to see, but there's a lot of things. But whenever I approach a new body of water, I use the biggest tip that I just give away to anybody. If Tyler's not catching them, Tyler's not where they're at. I got to move because they are biting. I got to find them. So that's how I approach everything. That's what keeps me confident in knowing that I'm doing it right or wrong. Because if I'm catching them, well, great. I found some fish. Were they the right fish? I don't know. Could be. Did I get skunked that day and catch one little fish this long? Well, I certainly wasn't in the right area. They weren't there because these fish a lot of times they move together, man. Especially blue cats, and they'll move a whole lot.
Oh yeah, and Liz and I and Charlie were on them on the Mississippi River Monsters, where we did a one-on-one deal there, and we just happened to find them the day before. We struggled pre-fishing for a day and a half, and we caught a few fish here, a few fish there, but then the Friday afternoon, just I came down, scanned an outside bank, and just fished. They were just loaded, and then rods in the water for 10 seconds, fish, and it was over. I mean, it just but finding those fish and staying after it, because in tournament situations, you have a lot of anglers that'll go 7 days before and be on fish, and then not realize that those, like you said, fish move. 7 days later, they go to the tournament and they're skunked.
Correct. Yep, exactly. You're 100% right. And there's a lot of variables that can change that. Sometimes you might get lucky and they stay in the same area. It could be flood stage for some reason, and that rising current plays a huge factor on the way the fish move. Water temp and current is really the major two factors, man. Once you kind of learn what they might do this time of year during this current, man, you can smack them. You can really get on them.
So before your new Dynasty 2.0, what did you fish out of?
I have and I still have it, a Sea Arc 2072 FXT. So it's of course, prop tunnel that I tore up numerous times trying to get in these shallow areas as far as the lower unit, So I actually converted it over to a jet drive. So it's like I said, it's a Ford console. 2072 Sea Arc FXT with a 11580 Suzuki jet drive. And with the jet drive, I'm able, no matter what the water level is, I'm able to get into that shallow water. And when I say shallow, I'm able to go in 3 or 4 inches without having any worries whatsoever. I mean, you can go wide open, 4 inches of water. As long as there's water, I can go. And a lot of times that definitely helps get to these areas that these flatheads are kind of bound up in sometimes, or it really helps whenever sometimes, depending on certain rivers, there may be rapids you have to go through, and if you go through rapids and stuff with a prop, you can only imagine. That's how I got a jet put.
Yeah, I've seen some of the props of these anglers. I don't know what they get into, but yeah, no, that so you have 2 boats, kind of depending on what you're going to do, determines maybe the boat you're going to take to that event.
Yeah, and I tell you, this is something I have not talked about really to anybody, but it's really, I don't like to make any moves quickly. When I got the Dynasty, I was like, okay, I need to sell my other bow. I'm strictly on the Dynasty. But then I was like, man, there is a few major tournaments on the Neuse and the Cape Fear and these other rivers that I still would like to join every once in a while. I'm not fishing a series, but that doesn't mean I want to just vanish. Maybe I want to go on a quick fishing trip, and maybe the weather's horrible where I was going to go, but it's pretty here, or, just a quick trip. But one thing that I'm really considering or thinking about, and it may be a good idea, it may be a bad idea, I might not be able to fit it in, I don't know. I actually was looking or really putting some serious thought in starting a guide service on my local rivers as a part-time guide, okay, 2 or 3 trips a month to help. There's so many anglers around me that all the time say, Tyler, man, I'm just not understanding. I'm hearing your tips. I'm seeing your tricks. I'm seeing you do it on live, and I'm just not getting it. And people, I want people to know that I'm so serious, and this is so real. And if I'm not worried about a tournament standpoint anymore, I mean, I would love, as far as local, I would love to share my ultimate tips, secrets, spots, areas with my local anglers, or even if they're out of state and they want to come, maybe they've never caught a flathead and they'd like to come. And but that's definitely something, you know, that's a lot. When you start a guide service, I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot going on with doing that. Not that I wouldn't love to do it, because I would, but I'm trying to weigh out a guide service versus traveling and tournament fishing. Like I said, local, I'm not concerned anymore. It is what it is. If somebody wants to, come do a trip and learn how to catch flatheads, hey, let's go. But or blues, it doesn't matter, or just a tournament, or whatever the case may be, whatever the person wants. I'm here for you. But there's just a lot of stuff there, and I may end up selling the boat and not doing it at all. I don't know. Shane says, "How do I get the first trip?" Shane, I got you on the list, dog.
Oh, Shane. Yeah, I love Shane.
Who the man? But there's a lot of because Alex, I have fished like the Neuse and the Cape Field. Like I have, you know, I'm not bragging or by any means, but I've won, I think like 5 tournament series championships out of like 7, and the other 2 I caught in second. And there's times, and why I even brought that up is because there's times, and that doesn't matter, okay? That doesn't matter how much somebody wins, but why I bring that up in the amount of times that I have been fortunate is going back to whenever I go to the weigh-ins and these anglers that are just getting started, or they've been doing it a little while and they haven't been super successful just yet, because it's coming. They come to me and, you know, Tyler, man, this and that and all this, I didn't do so good, or what did I do wrong? And this and that. And sometimes it's easier for me to show you, because sometimes I'm out there catching 20, 30 fish, and I'm like, there's so many people that would have such a good time doing this, and it would open their eyes to a whole nother world. And, but being a competitive tournament angler, I don't mind giving out all the tips and tricks, but sometimes you can't give away your spots. Because you work hard for your areas that you fish. Just being natural, I've put in thousands of hours on the water, and I simply don't want to give you a waypoint, because that doesn't make that angler any better. But I don't mind telling you exactly how I found these spots. And that's from all the tips and tactics I've told everybody tonight. And it's very true. Now I've held back nothing. But with the guide service, it would be exciting. And, it's just a lot there, a lot of uncertainties, Alex, on as far as that goes. So that's to be determined.
But who would have thought, though, years ago, that you're in a situation now where you just bought your second Sea Arc, and now you kind of have the options where you've built yourself into such on social media where you have followers where people would love to go out with you just because that you're Tyler Barnes and you're a positive influence, you're a great person. So that's cool to be sitting in this scenario when you got these options where I can go this route, I can go this route, I can do this. And that's got to be awesome.
It is, and I'm very humbled, by the situation. And, like I said, man, I know how I look forward to every weekend. And I'm like, man, I don't care where I'm getting up at daybreak. It doesn't matter the weather. I'm so excited to go. And I know there's so many people that are so excited to go as well, but it's easy to get discouraged. And I'm trying to find my ultimate purpose in the sport, Alex, essentially. What is my purpose? Like, I'm a guy that, I want to make a difference in the industry. And I feel like I am, but what's long term? Am I supposed to be a tournament angler? Am I supposed to be a guide? Am I supposed to be um what is it? And that brings up for real fishing too, about positivity, promoting people, and joining a big fishing community that uplifts everybody and gets everybody out on the water, no matter what species of fish that they're fishing for. But I'm 28 years old. It's there's so much going on. There's so many thoughts and so many angles, and trying to run a business and trying to promote other anglers and trying to do social media and trying to do a guide and trying to do tournament fishing and trying to, man, what is the real, because we're all here for a short time, and while I'm here,
Yeah.
I'm certainly going to do what I want to do, but what is it? What is my purpose? And I'm not, I, I don't know. What's 10 years from now? Look at what 10 years did. Okay, we're here, and I don't mean that in any kind of way, but what's 10 more years? And I want to encourage everybody here that's wanting to build a presence in the fishing industry, think about it that way too. You may just be getting started. You may be started for a little while, but think time's gonna fly just like that. If you keep pushing and being positive and fishing and promoting yourself, don't be afraid to promote yourself. You'll see, man, in just a little time, because it's gonna come by whether you do something with it or not. Time's coming, and
Yeah.
I suggest use your time wisely and do what works for you. But anyway, that gets into a whole nother realm of stuff. But who knows what's coming?
Well, that's cool. Like I said, I've been following you for a while. I know a lot of people have been following you for a while, and it's just like I said, it's always about being positive and helping others, and you've been doing that, and it's great to see you have so many options. And you'll be at CatCon. You'll be speaking at CatCon in February.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's a good chance to meet you there at CatCon for people that want to listen to your stuff. And then obviously you're on TikTok. What all social media platforms are you on? And like you said, that's tough. I mean, I'm on TikTok a little bit, but just posting pictures, videos, reels every day. Like Liz and I were talking about that.
Man,
That's tough. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
It definitely is, man, because I'm on Facebook a lot, of course, you can just go to Facebook and type in my name and you'll hopefully see me and give me a follow, a friend request, and I'd be glad to follow you back as well, whoever decides to do so. TikTok is the big thing. If you'd like to go to TikTok and look up Tyler Barnes _catfishing, you'll see my page. Feel free to give me a follow. Like I said, we do a lot of live fishing trips, a lot of tactics, a lot of tackle talk. We try to keep it real, bring you guys to the events. You know, within doing that, trying to build a brand that promotes anglers is also hard, because not only do Tyler got to promote Tyler, I've got to promote everybody that is on the For Real Fishing team or family or community. It's For Real Fishing is open to anybody. So I encourage anybody to go to Facebook and look up our company, For Real Fishing. We have some really great things coming in the future that is going to be great for everybody. But like I said, that's going to be an ultimate community that we hope, just we'd like to share everybody's content and promote other anglers and just, build a positive surrounding is what we want to do. So, but yeah, primarily on Facebook and TikTok. I got an Instagram. Don't you follow me if you want to, but I don't get on Instagram. There's no way I can do business page. I got 6 emails. Okay, I got 6 emails. I've got
A lot
Facebook.
of
I've
emails.
got yeah, because I'm with work related and stuff. I've got so many different things. I've got business emails. I've got sometimes but I have got to maintain what I love to do, which is this. I love this right here. So, whatever it may cost, you better believe Tyler's not going anywhere. And I hope, to just make an impact on people in the fishing industry. Hopefully in a good way. Hopefully in a good way.
Yeah, again, that's kind of the reason I started this Monday night podcast is a way to give back to the anglers and show them that, hey, I have somebody different on every Monday night. We talk about them, their fishing, their techniques, and how anybody else can get out there and do it. And like I said, this has been a great show, and I appreciate you being on here.
Hey man, it's an honor to be up here, man. When you sent me a message, I was like, "Oh my gosh, let's go! This is gonna be the best." So man, I'm excited, man. And Alex, if there's anything that I can do, if you want to do another podcast in the future about maybe a different topic, maybe we primarily covered flatheads tonight, but if you want to look at different baits and tactics for blue catfish and in different times of the, hey, I'm game. I know we've already been live for 2 hours and so but I'm down for anything that I can help with. I'd love to be on the show at any time, so never hesitate to ask me. I'm here for you.
Yeah, we'll have to. Obviously, I can't. My boat's in a heated garage right now, just crying for me. But when it gets nice out, we'll have to do a Monday night live, maybe on the water or something, where we're kind of both fishing and stuff like that, and do some fun stuff. So
Certainly, man. Absolutely, man. You name it. Let's go. We'll show out, try to get more in depth, show some tackle talk and some real stuff, man. See if we can't catch some fish on the live feed and hang out a couple hours. Just have fun, just have a good time.
yeah. So what are you talking about at CatCon?
So
What's your topic?
pretty much same thing we just talked about, which is great practice here. So essentially, shallow river tactics, and how I go about targeting these fish, what rigs, some things that, maybe how I hook the baits, maybe, I hope to have a better presentation as far as that goes. I'm not certain on if I'm going to do like a slideshow type deal. I don't know if anybody has any input on that. I don't know if who's going to CatCon or who might would. I don't know if people would rather me just talk like this or if people would rather me show visuals or short video clips. Because I certainly don't mind taking short video clips showing you how to hook bait or how to cut bait, or there might be a little ways that I cut bait that I think enhances your odds of catching fish. Tips, would you like to see exactly what I'm fishing in real time through clips? I don't know. That's for people to hopefully tell me, but I'm limited. As you can tell, Alex, we've been doing this for 1 hour and 53 minutes. I've got 45. So I've got 45 minutes to do it plus a 10-15 minute Q&A. But if you guys are going to CatCon, please, join the seminar if you can. If you cannot, that's understandable. But come see us at the For Real Fishing booth. It'll be me, several of our affiliates. We're going to be, promoting everybody, going live, talking. I'd love to have some one-on-one time with you, get to know you. And just hang out and just have a good time. So I would love to see you guys there. But I'm gonna try to cram as much information as I can in 45 minutes without being overwhelming. I'm pretty much gonna talk about tackle. I'm gonna do a short introduction, probably, right? Tackle talk, and some 2 to 3 or 4 main things that has helped me be successful on these shallow water situations. And then really that's all the time I got. I'm out of time. I could talk for hours, but it's you just run out of that 45 minutes when you really get into something. Man, it don't take no time. It's gone.
I mean, we're almost 2 hours, and like I said, I've went one time 3 hours and 15 minutes. That's what when I started this podcast, I'm like, we'll do an hour a week. That can't be too bad, but an hour a week.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. First off, my hat's off to anybody doing a weekly show. It has been extremely tough
Man.
every week because like this today, I felt rough. I did not want to be on the show. I was like, I don't know that I can talk. I don't know that anybody can hear me. I got a pounding headache, but we just got to do it. We got to get through it. But because people want to hear what we got to say and bring people on. But that's awesome. Like I said, I think CatCon, you're gonna get a lot of stuff. You're gonna have your own booth.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's gonna be awesome.
Yep. So, man, and we hope to have everybody's support. We're going to have a fairly decent area. It's a 10 by 20. We're going to have a lot of new apparel, a lot of new products and stuff out there that you guys have not seen if you do follow our brand. But we love your support. Pretty much, we just want to see everybody there. We're going to have a big banner. Oh my goodness.
Will you have this there? Because I got to get one of those for my
Oh
behind
my
me.
God. So, and so a quick story about the bobblehead. Okay, so man, I caught a lot of crap on that thing. Let me tell you, some people were like, man, that's the coolest thing ever. Some people were like, wow, that Tyler thinks he's yada yada yada. Well, let me tell you, a follower on TikTok that I've never met in my life in person. We become good friends. He actually went and had a pallet full of bobbleheads made, shipped to my house just so our followers could have that to buy if they would like to. And that's what I'm saying. That's the power of being surrounded by positive people. Tyler don't have no money in that. Okay, Tyler don't have no money in it. This man, he likes to be anonymous, but he reached out and said, Tyler, what about bobbleheads? I said, man, absolutely not. Okay, we're not going to do that. He said, oh, certainly we are. Yeah, I'm like, he's like, I'll buy them. I'll send them to you. And Angela's got 2 bobbleheads. And honestly, they ended up being like super cool, and a lot of people loved them. So we do have some extras, of course, because we had, I'm telling you, a lot of bobbleheads shipped over here. So we'll have those at the Catfish Conference too. But anyway, that's definitely super cool, and that just tells you when you surround yourself with positive people that want to help you, man. You never know who you can meet, man. That'll help lift you up and support you and take you to the next level.
Yeah. Well, man, awesome. Like I said, I appreciate you being on here. Obviously, some things we learned. The fishing's always on fire somewhere.
Always.
Find the fish.
Yep.
Be positive. Surround yourself with positive people,
Big
and
time.
give back. And don't be scared to show yourself. And like I said, look what you've done on social media. Even if you go out and fun fish and you catch that 10-pound fish, or you don't catch a fish at all, take pictures, show people the rig you're doing. Whether you're crimping or you're special knot, don't be scared to show anybody what you're doing, how to be successful, and just go out there and have fun. And look at what Tyler Barnes has done for himself, and how cool. Like still, I don't know that I'm ever going to catch a state record because where I'm at, they're like crazy, like 134 pounds or something like that. But not in a flathead, but in blue cat. But man, that's like I said, that's awesome. That's super. I can't even imagine what you were going through catching a state record flathead, especially because you're talking ounces from just. I mean,
dude, but and Alex, that goes right back to I feel I don't know my purpose here in the sport. I really don't. I know what Tyler wants to do, but is there more? Is there less? Is this it? I don't know. But for me to be ripping down the river, and some people look, I'm not gonna say I'm so good I caught a state record. Man, that thing right there, that was luck, right? Like catching a state record. I mean, of course I go fishing and I study these fish and I fish a lot, but man, catching a state, look at it like this. It took 15 years for every angler in the state of North Carolina fishing every body of water to catch that one fish. Of course, if anybody's wondering, that is a replica, and the fish was released alive. But that goes back to me trying to figure out my purpose in the sport because I'm not going anywhere. I'm only going to, continue promoting everybody, including myself. But for me to be ripping down the river and finding a little tree that I promise with everything I got, never have fished it. Never even really noticed it. Just a little tree in the water, man. And nothing. For me to have this overwhelming, dude, I can't even imagine, I can't even describe it. Like I'm going down the river and it just hits me like turn around. Like you could almost hear, I don't want to get like scary or not, but you could almost hear turn around. Like, dude, I'm telling you, it was crazy. So, and after ignoring it the first time, about 30 seconds later, it hit me again, but harder. I was like, okay, whoa. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to go fish it, state record. Now, that ain't a coincidence, okay? That led to more things, which led to this podcast, which led to me saying that same statement, which is going to lead to something else in the future that I don't know. But I don't know. I'm here for a long time, as I like to.
Good. Well, man, this has been a blast. I guess I'll see you here in a few, less than a month almost. We'll be at CatCon in Louisville, Kentucky. If you're close by, definitely come stop by. You'll see a lot of cool things at the show. It's really the only catfish specific show in the country that I'm aware of. And again, thanks for being on my podcast, the Twisted Cat Outdoors Live. We appreciate you. And anybody wanting to follow Tyler Barnes, like I said, TikTok, Facebook. He's a social media guru, as I put in the title. You are. Every time I get on TikTok, you're live, and like I said, I really enjoy watching your live stuff. And just like you said, be positive, surround yourself with positive people, and go after it. The world, you can do whatever you want. You just got to keep your mind to it, stay after it, be positive,
self-confidence.
Yeah, and me and you, one of these days, are going to do a little live on the water stuff. So
certainly, absolutely.
So anything else you got left to say before we close out?
No, not really, Alex. But like I said, what I can't stress enough to people is if there's anything, and listen, I may be a little slow getting the messages sometimes. But if you ever send me a message on Facebook Messenger or something, that's honestly probably your best way to get up with me. Okay. But if there's anything for anybody that's watching still, if there's anything that I can do to help you for any reason, what we talk about is between us. Okay. So don't think I'm not that guy screenshotting sending over here to Joe Blow over. No, if you got something that's on your mind, you think I can help, or you just need a little advice on how to go about it. I can't, some things I can't tell you how to go about it. Sometimes we got to figure out for ourselves and what works for each other, but I can definitely guide you in the best way that I know possible. So never hesitate to contact me. Like I said, and if not, I hope to see everybody at the Catfish Conference in Louisville, Kentucky, and we'll be at the For Real Fishing booth, and we'll be there all day Friday and Saturday, and I'll also be doing some seminars. So show up, let's chit chat, give me some, some. I'll be shaking in my boots up there, man. You got hundreds of people out there, so I'm trying to be on my A game, man. So y'all come pump me up a little bit.
Yeah, you'll be good. Well, awesome. Like I said, I appreciate it. And for those of you watching, our next event is February 3rd, Grove, Oklahoma, Grand Lake of the Cherokees. Again, it will be a $300 entry, 100% payback, plus $500 from Castaway Customs on the big fish. And we also have our grassroots $50 entry at every event, 100% payback. So if you want to get your feet wet, $50 an entry per team, or for the main event, main series, $300. And again, this is season 10 for Twisted Cat. And I don't know if there's really a season for this live show. We just kind of like I said, threw it out there, ran with it, and it's still going, and it's fun. And like I said, we're kind of in that same situation where just who knows what's next. There's a lot of things moving, a lot of good changes, and we're just staying after it, man. So
That's well, I'll tell you, Alex, you're doing a phenomenal job. I think it's you know, a lot of props to you. A lot of props to you for maintaining such a podcast and tournament trails and it. Because, buddy, what you're doing is a lot of work. A lot of work and dedication, and to do it as professionally as you are is incredible. And I applaud you for everything that you're doing. I just want you to know that I think you're doing a fantastic job at it.
well, I appreciate it.
You're very
Well, everybody, so much. Thank you for watching. Have a great Monday night. Hopefully, if you're in this, what do they call this? Is vortex or whatever crazy weather. Hopefully it gets by. I'm waiting for next Monday. I think it'll be in the 30s or 40s, so I can't wait. I'm gonna be running around the house. But everybody get through the week. Have a good week, and we'll see you next Monday night. And I'll leave you with a quick message about our next event. And again, stay warm, and we'll see you next week.
Hey anglers, we hope you join us February 3rd at Grand Lake of the Cherokees in Grove, Oklahoma. It's our first time on that lake. We're really pumped about it. Again, we got 100% payback for a $300 entry. We also have our Grassroots Series as a $50 entry, 100% payback. But come join us, Grove, Oklahoma, Grand Lake of the Cherokees. Going to be a fun time, February 3rd. Hope to see you there.